Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to see you again. We're here, of course, with the Prime Minister of Latvia this afternoon. So we'll start with a statement by the Secretary General, followed by a statement from the Prime Minister, and then we'll have time for your questions.
Prime Minister Kulbergs, dear Andris, again, congratulations on your appointment. It's a great pleasure to welcome you to NATO headquarters. And let me say this. Latvia is a highly valued ally. And every day since Latvia joined NATO, which is now 22 years ago, the alliance has protected, of course, your sovereignty and security. As we saw just last week, French jets deployed for NATO Baltic air policing intercepted and destroyed a drone that entered Latvia's airspace. And such drone incidents on NATO's eastern flank show Russia's dangerous and reckless actions. But it also shows once again NATO's determination and ability to deter and to defend. No ally stands alone in NATO. Latvia hosts NATO Forward Land Forces, a brigade led by Canada with troop contributions from 12 other allies. That is NATO solidarity in action. Latvia leads by example on defense investment, with core defense spending due to reach almost 5% of GDP this year. And you are also strengthening your defense industrial base, with focus on drone technology and counter-drone systems. You have become a true hub for innovation in this critical area. Latvia is a staunch supporter of Ukraine. It continues to provide essential support, including through its co-leadership of the International Drone Capability Coalition. That has already delivered contracts for 30,000 drones, many produced in Latvia. And just last week, you signed a defense cooperation agreement with President Zelensky to share expertise. Prime Minister, today we discussed the priorities for the NATO summit in Ankara that is only 3 weeks away. And the summit will be about delivery. Delivering increased defense investments, more defense production, and of course our strong support for Ukraine. Latvia is already showing how it's done. I expect other allies to demonstrate how they are turning extra spending into combat-ready capabilities and how they are scaling up their defense industries. I count on allies to go further and faster because we face a more dangerous world. Latvia's resolve is an example to us all. And we are all safer and stronger when we stand together in NATO. Prime Minister Kulbergs, dear Andris, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, thank you all. Dear Secretary General Mark, in the 5 minutes we met, I learned that I have a lot to learn from Mark because he's been Prime Minister for 14 years. And today I'm Prime Minister for 14 working days. So, and yes, and we learned that we actually have much more in common from Dutch perspective, from Riga, from Latvia, and our common past that we share the good insights. Yeah. And thank you for hosting me first time here in NATO headquarters in Brussels. And today is a very symbolic day. Today, 17th of June, in 1940, Russian boots stepped into Riga, exactly today. And that's a symbolic that we meet here in NATO, because security and alliance, NATO alliance, is more than ever needed and necessary presence to be in not only Latvia, not only in Baltics, but in all eastern flank. So Latvia has a new government, and I'm the new Prime Minister. But nothing changes. Even more stronger, we're supporting defense. That's proven by the 5% in the budget, and that is already done in the Parliament. As well, nothing has changed. Even more, we do support for Ukraine, because we think that is the partner, that is the nation who's keeping us safe in Europe, and we know what that means, and that's why we have very close relationship and we support them in any means possible We're number 5 country in the world supporting Ukraine from a GDP perspective. Yes, we're not that big, but we have a strong heart for that. We also support Ukraine for the next heating season and the electric season with all the equipment what we have, and we can give them in time. And we have a cooperation with Ukraine, and this is not on paper. This is a real cooperation we signed last week, which brings us much closer in terms of bringing safe skies in Baltics. Not only Latvia, Lithuania has done the deal. We just did it. And I just heard yesterday Estonia might do it very soon as well. This has to be incorporated also into our NATO system, that we keep our skies safe, because I think there's no one else in the world who knows better how to keep us away from drones than Ukraine, who does them in a military way every day in a war. Security remains number 1 issue and number 1 matter of this government. And our main task is to make NATO stronger and more secure. For this, we need to invest more in collective defense and deterrence capabilities. And Latvia is doing its part. As I mentioned before, 5% is that what we do from our perspective, and we are committed to that in the future as well. And Latvia is a committed and responsible ally of NATO. And our top priority now is to strengthen the air defense, and that means that thanks to NATO, and I totally appreciate the work you did last week, shooting down by the French Rafale jet fighter the drone which entered our airspace. That shows that timely decisions and execution brings safe skies to the people. But we need to improve the efficiency. That's not the way how we should shoot down every drone. So we have to be efficient, also using our resources. And at the same time, we are adapting to real-time threats by investing in the cost-effective anti-drone capabilities. And that is the priority of my government now, in order to bring safe skies as fast as possible. And Latvian drone industry is developing fast and is ready and able to offer cheaper counter-drone capabilities. Today was a very symbolic announcement as well from France tender, a French tender, which means that our Origin Robotics anti-drone has been chosen as the leading source of keeping France's, Belgium and Ukraine as well being supplied with the Latvian-built drones. Collectively, allies have the resources and capabilities to ensure protection of all NATO territory against every threat. Latvia is ready to host more allied air defense capabilities to safeguard NATO's external border. Estonia has it, Lithuania has it, Latvia also needs it. Last week I signed a drone agreement with President Zelensky, and that is anti-drone efficient neutralization. Ukrainians are the most advanced in drone warfare today. So the drone agreement will help us integrate Ukrainian battlefield experience into our defense posture. So Latvia is grateful to the US, Canadian, and all other allies for their military presence in Latvia. It is vital and important political message as well to our neighbor to the east. There is no jokes with us. And 14 allies, NATO allies, work and train together in Latvia right now. And it is a clear demonstration of strong transatlantic ties, allied unity, and ironclad commitments to Article 5. And we need to continue supporting Ukraine as they fight also for European security. For 3 years now, Latvia's military support to Ukraine has been 0.25% from our GDP. This year it's even 0.3%, and we commit to that further as well. I informed Secretary General today that Latvia will invest additional 7 million, in total 24 million euro in Pearl initiative. And total amount of Latvian contribution to Pearl will reach then 24 million. So, thank you, General. It was a pleasure to meet you, and I hope we have a strong work together to do even more than this year further as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we now have time for questions. Let's start here in the front row.
Good afternoon. My name is Ilza Nagra from Latvian television. Secretary General, if I may, drone intrusions in Latvia have become a weekly action. So do you think it's still viable to use expensive fighter jets to shoot drones down, cheap drones? And is there some sort of a limit, like how many drones per week should we expect in order to look for more sustainable solutions? And for the Latvian Prime Minister, what do you expect NATO to step up, or the current support is enough in the existing situation? Thank you.
Yes, on your first question, I totally agree with the Prime Minister. That is that obviously long term we cannot continue by shooting down drones with very costly interceptors. So we have to find an interception techniques which are of the same costs as the drones, so counter-drone technologies. And this, of course, is where Ukraine comes in. This is also where innovation comes in. And I can assure you that NATO is laser-focused when it comes to delivering cutting-edge counter-drone defenses at speed. And that's why late last year we launched a package of measures to expand and accelerate NATO's counter-drone measures. And I expect more initiatives like these at the NATO summit in Ankara. What we are doing now is turning rapid experimentation I underscore, because this has to be done speedily, so we're doing that, but also turning this into capabilities that deliver, as you said, at a low cost, the counter-drone techniques, so that we defeat low-cost drones and swarms before they can threaten our forces, before they can threaten our skies, our countries. NATO recently has conducted ground-based interceptor exercises, including the Counter-Unmanned Aerial Systems Initiative Project Flytrap, which was part of Sabre Strike 26 in Lithuania. So this is just one example of where we are doing everything to make sure that we have what we need, but also to speedily morph from the experimentation into the real thing. And this is a bit new because in the past NATO would really only want to deploy something that it had been totally tested from every angle. But here we have to make sure that we are there at speed.
Yes, the answer is yes. We need more boots on the ground, and we need more allied forces presence in not only Latvia, in Baltics and Eastern flank. And that is a necessary part and discussion and debate we had today together. The best way to protect us is to prepare for the worst, which means to have the best defense possible, and that will always be the part of deterrence, much better than doing less.
Okay, next question, second row here.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Galina Stepovets. I am Ukrainian journalist. Thank you so much for your support of Ukraine, first of all. And my question will be about, do you expect President Zelensky to visit NATO on the coming day?
Well, as always, we announce whoever is visiting when they are visiting, and never in advance. So you will see.
Okay, next question. Let's head over here on the second row.
Hello, Virginia from Tevere, Moldova.
Hi, good to see you.
In the light of increased frequency of Russian drone incursion into Moldova airspace, including incidents involving armed drones, Moldova President Maia Sandu has called for legislative amendments in order to allow the development and domestic production of interceptor drones as part of the large effort to strengthen Moldova air defense capability. How could NATO and allied countries support Moldova in building up its counter-drone capacity and improving its ability to protect its airspace overall by technology transfer, training, financial or industrial cooperation?
There is really a strong cooperation between NATO and Moldova. For example, when it comes to cyber and counter-cyber techniques and initiatives. The President, Maya Sandu, myself, we are in regular contact, but also more broadly. We are really working together, not only as NATO and Moldova, but also Moldova with Ukraine, Moldova with individual allies. Obviously, we don't want to make our adversaries too much informed on what we exactly are doing, but I can assure you that there is a strong cooperation with the EU, of course, when you look at Moldova, but also when it comes to NATO on all these issues.
All right, third row in the very center.
Thank you, Olivier Beau from AFP. Secretary General, you mentioned the technology and the innovation needed for NATO to be able to counter drones not using jet fighters, but you didn't give any timeline. How long will it take for NATO to be able to replace these costly fighters? And if I may, another question, how do you see your role 1 year after The Hague? I mean, is it still to make Donald Trump happy, or is it more now to try to help the European allies to build this European pillar everybody wants to build now? Thank you.
Yeah, well, The Hague was not there to make anyone happy. What I think what happened in The Hague, committing to the 5%, what I said is that, of course, this had to be done because when you look at the plans for NATO has and the capabilities we need to defend ourselves, we need to spend the 5%. Core defense spending plus the defense-related spending. The good news is that it also equalizes what Europe is spending with what the United States is spending. The United States is completely committed to NATO, but they also have this expectation. Expectation is that the Europeans will spend the same as they do, which is totally fair. But the first reason to do this is to defend every inch of NATO territory, and that is deeply rooted in the capability targets. And my argument was and is that both getting to the 2% and agreeing on the 5%, President Trump's, let's put it, encouragement here, I believe has been very helpful. But again, it is deeply rooted in our plans. This is why we need to do it. On your first question, it's difficult to say there is a sort of moment when we move from the one to the other. Of course, this is an ongoing process. Over time, we will get more and more systems in place to make sure we have these counter-drone technologies working so that you are less and less dependent on the very costly traditional interceptors.
All right, coming here to the second row.
Yeah, hi. Uliana Krychkovska, European Pravda. So my question is for Prime Minister of Latvia. What is your view in Ukraine's role of helping you to shooting down drones that are going to your aerospace because of Russian aggression?
Oh, yes. I think there is no other country who can do it better. And utilizing the equipment available from allies, from their own sources, was the most efficient way. And we should take that knowledge. We shouldn't be experimenting something else while somebody has a solution. And exactly this is the agreement. The agreement means that we have the specialists in place in Latvia in order to assess our situation, how fit we are, what are we missing from the equipment-wise. And the goal is that until the end of the year, we have a maximum potential to do that, what Ukrainian does. Of course, that depends exactly on the equipment. Is it available? Production time? Yes, that is an aspect. But otherwise, we also need training. We need, and this agreement means not just a one-time deal. It means a close cooperation. I call it a subscription. That somebody who knows it daily, and we know drones develop not already monthly, weekly. We have to have the latest, as I say, upgrade in order to defend best, because we know that the enemy learns fast as well. So this means anti-drone, this means identification, this means surveillance and whole coverage. And it's important and vital that it is not just Latvia. It is important that it is Baltics. It is important that it is Poland-Baltics. It's important Baltics, Poland, Finland, because drones don't have borders. Yeah? We should be as wall against the aggression. So, and if we can reach the percentage what Ukraine does, that is the most efficient way to use resources. And we need to integrate that with the NATO. And I think that's the best alliance which we could have, technically and in knowledge.
Could I just, in one addition, totally agree. And Eastern Sentry, which was launched by the Supreme Allied Commander last year, September, in reaction to some big drone incidents in Poland and Estonia, is exactly therefore to make this happen. From Finland, let's say from the Black Sea up to the high north, so from Turkey, Romania, Bulgaria up to Finland, to make sure that we work together, that we make maximum use of the existing resources we have, but also exactly to the point the Prime Minister is making, to know where the gaps are and to fill those gaps. And what Latvia is taking leadership here when it comes to applying the latest drone technologies within NATO, and that helps us as an alliance to become better at this.
All right, that's all we have time for this afternoon, but thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.